Hey everyone, this is Stephanie Wilson, and this is Freedom Over Fascism Live. Today we're going to talk to Dr. Eric Lulov, and I'm going to bring him on right now. Hey, Eric, we're live.
I'm here.
Welcome to Freedom
Hi.
Over Fascism Live. How you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. Well, we've talked about all the things that we could talk about today, given the fact that it's the day after the State of the Union.
Which
We've
is
got
why I didn't really want to talk about it.
right. Well, I didn't watch it, so
You know what? You're probably healthier for it.
oh my gosh, I couldn't
Although I
handle it.
did, I did the swamp. I did
Oh,
the
did
state of
you?
the swamp last night. Yes.
I considered that, but yeah, I needed not to be watching that.
I mean, listen. The only thing that really, I'm not sure if this was covered in the other talks this morning, because I've been busy with the public hearing on the Surgeon General. Um, was the only thing that I really noticed that came out of that talk out of his speech last night was the fact that he literally wants to do away with the sales tax and use the tariffs as almost like a VAT.
Yeah, really? Doesn't seem like a
That
great
that
idea.
came out pretty clear. The one thing with dear leader is he uses the one thing that he's always been consistent with throughout his entire life, even from the 80s, is the fact that he firmly believes in tariffs, like true to his core. Like we always said that Trump doesn't have any core beliefs. Like he didn't have anything that really drove to his core. I think we're kind of seeing that this is the one thing that is absolutely at his core is he really does believe that tariffs are the answer to everything because of what framed his thought process in the 80s with the Japanese.
Hmm.
And then in the 90s, it was the Europeans. And then the 2000s has been the Chinese.
Hmm.
So this is something that has really gone through his entire core system. And I mean, for somebody who's not ever principled on anything, this is pretty evident. So
Right. Although he doesn't seem to quite understand what it
no,
means.
he has no clue. No.
Yeah. So let's take that as read and move on. I tried to um well, a couple other things I just want to touch on. Well, we won't actually talk about them. Um Hockey with the US Canadian game, which was awesome.
That's a
And
touchy
then they
subject for me, having been a
fucked,
hockey player.
oh my God, they
Hmm.
fucked it all up in the locker room.
I'm not wondering if they even had a choice. I'll be honest with you.
I
I'm not
I
wondering. I'm not wondering if the USA IOC hockey powers that be allowed just Cash Patel to walk into the locker room. I mean,
so you
I mean,
think they
I've been in
did or
those.
that they
I mean,
didn't?
I've been in a championship locker room. I know what that feeling's like. You're not even thinking about what's walking in, what's not. You're too busy just being exhilarated over what
Right.
just happened. And the really cool part, honestly, about hockey is, and you saw it with the women and you saw it with the men, is the celebration in an overtime, sudden death type style game winning. It's like complete chaos.
Right.
It is. You see the gloves are flying up in the air, the helmets, the sticks, everything's going everywhere. You don't see that in the NFL. I mean, the closest thing might be Major League Baseball with the gloves and the hats and everything.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing like a hockey celebration because it's all concentrated in one part of the ice rink,
Hmm.
corner, sidewall, half board, whatever it is, right? And it's like complete pandemonium for like 5 minutes.
Right. And I'm sure the adrenaline was high
Oh my god.
and the
Yeah.
alcohol level was probably high
Oh,
very, very
hockey
quickly.
players can drink. You're from Boston. You should know. I mean, I'm from like hockey players can drink. We can throw down.
Right. It's just, it's really, uh, it's I don't want to just say it's an unfortunate situation because they probably had very little choice and didn't quite even clock what was going on. But also, like, if you're representing the United States, you gotta be paying attention.
I mean, these are kids. I mean, these are 25-year-old kids. I mean, they could have said, you know what, we're gonna do this in the summertime. Like, we all have to get back to our teams. The league starts again on Wednesday. We need to get back. You know, we've been gone for 2 weeks. We need to get back to our families. We need to get back to our lives. We have,
Mhm.
So there could have been a better decision.
Right. Well, the other piece of hockey that's been in the news lately is heated rivalry, which is a completely different story. And
Totally different.
uh, and someday I will have a conversation about that with somebody on here, because I am a fan, and I also, that's the kind of books I read, and I read the books when they came out 5 or 6 years ago. So let's put a pin in that.
We
And
gotta put a pin in that. That could take up a whole hour.
I could take up more past now. We should talk about that. But as you said, you were watching the
Yeah.
the hearing for Surgeon General. That Dr. Casey Means, not clear to me whether she actually has a
I'm going to use
medical
the
license.
term. I'm going to use the term doctor only because she did graduate medical school.
Yeah.
And that's about where it should end.
Right.
We're talking about a woman who went to Stanford University, graduated medical school, got an ENT residency training program. So ENT is otolaryngology, right? So ear, nose, throat. And she quit 3 years into a residency training program.
Right.
In a 5-year training program, she quits after 3. She lapses her medical license, so it's inactive, right? To become an Instagram influencer, to peddle supplements, blood glucose monitor devices with her crooked brother-in-law or whatever, and gets fronted by her company $20 million by a guy who's been pushing out anti-vax, anti-pharmaceutical, supplemental witch hazel products on the market, just so of course she latched on to RFK and latched on to this whole Maha movement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're talking about somebody who in 2021 was taking psychedelic mushrooms because she couldn't deal with her breakup in her social life, so that it was the only way that she could stabilize her mental state so that she could remarry, and then she just had a child, which is why her hearing was delayed.
Yeah, well, they scheduled it for the day she was due, which was,
right. So, and in the hearing, was asked some very poignant questions from the Democratic senators in the Help Committee. So the senators on the Help Committee are chaired by, Senator Cassidy, who had the deciding vote whether or not RFK got the secretary position, and he failed miserably. I have no belief in the fact that he's actually going to vote no against with her. I think he's too afraid of the MAGA base because he's being primaried. Mm-hmm. So she's probably going to get confirmed.
Well, and
assuming that Murkowski and Susan Collins actually grow a spine at some point.
What? No.
But so Susan Collins was concerned today in the hearing.
Of course she was.
She was concerned. That's her tagline.
That's on brand. That's
right.
So I turned it on and tried to watch it at a faster clip so I could catch up all the way. And I didn't. But what struck me was that she is savvy enough to say all the right things
without saying anything
beyond you should talk to your doctor.
Which is bullshit, because what she did say, though, that was really upsetting was making the point in the statement that physicians don't spend enough time with their physicians to properly inform consent over medications and or vaccines and or other therapies that they're prescribing. And her go-to safe space was root cause, right? Well, here's the thing. you come to see me for an orthopedic problem, I'm going to try to figure out where the problem is. That's called root cause philosophy, right? But she believes in a version of medicine that has no board certification. If it does, it's not accredited. Okay. It's functional medicine. It's not accredited medicine.
Mm-hmm.
She, like went after like glyphosate, which, is produced by Monsanto, is the whole Roundup thing, right? And you're in Massachusetts, so you know the whole what happened with Roundup, and that was actually a dose dependent problem, where all those issues where they had glyphosate poisoning in I think it was Western Massachusetts, I think.
Well, there's been multiple.
There's been a lot of them in multiple communities where there was actually a batch fabrication problem where they actually increased the concentration and like everything. And she was saying, well, it's glyphosate's poisonous. Well, so is water if you drink too much of it.
Okay? Yeah, although
I mean, anything in large enough quantity and overconsumption is toxic.
Right.
Whether it's alcohol, Coca-Cola, orange juice, water.
Although to be fair, those chemicals are not great for the human
but
body.
They don't cause cancer. Right? The whole point was that the glyphosate's been used for 50 years as an herbicide. It does not cause cancer in the concentrations that the FDA had approved it originally. And and let's put in the fact that the administration just signed an executive order that is protecting Monsanto.
Right.
But she's out there testifying. Even RFK walked it back. But they were getting into like agricultural medicine, and like this is not stuff that's the purview of the Surgeon General.
No,
they were getting into like soil health, and her whole thing has been about like healthy food. Like, that's fine. I have no problem. You want to eat healthy food, but here's the problem. Go back and look through human history when we were eating nothing but organic meat and drinking raw milk.
Right. Okay? Yeah. And we didn't have any antibiotics and
no antibiotics, no sanitation, no pasteurization of them. Guess what people were dying from? Organic meat disease and bacteria.
Right.
if they didn't get eaten by a dinosaur. Okay. Or septicemia from a cut, right? Like just, Yeah. So, I mean, like her whole thing has been like, you want to make like whole food more available, make it cheaper. Okay. Everything we eat has some sort of process to it. Even when you make food at home, right? You take a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of wheat, a little bit of flour. You're composing and processing things to make bread.
Right. And you apply heat.
Bread just doesn't come off of a tree, and it doesn't grow out of a ground. And you have to it's the same thing with potatoes. Like you can make a potato, but you can't turn that potato into bread without doing something else to it. Okay. You have to process it. So like her whole food argument is just, it's wonky, and she really shouldn't be confirmed.
Well, it's an answer to, I think it's a reasonable answer to a different question.
Speaking of processed toxic chemicals.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's one advice I allow myself.
They
it's either that or I start drinking.
Eat through any rust, right?
Because I need to have a certain level of phosphoric acid in my system.
Oh, clearly. So the question, I mean, all of this is based on the assumption that all things are equal. All things are equal. We should eat more healthfully. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we should all exercise more. We should all sleep more. We should all stress less, and
we should all have money to go buy organic food. We should all have the benefits of medicine you can take to stop the food craziness noise in your head with GLP-1s, because lots of people have, strange chemical compositions. And the other thing is we need to really focus on so I don't have the anti-functional medicine in certain cases bias that you do. I think that it can be if somebody is using Western medicine, if they want to supplement it with other stuff, great. For certain people at certain times. But the real problem is that there's not enough access. I mean, it's the Bernie Sanders was saying. We don't have access to health, to
And
affordable, high quality
let me
health care.
let me say this. I don't have an anti functional medicine bias. I mean, I prescribe nutrient supplements out of my practice for my diabetic patients, for my nail patients, for patients who are undergoing, medical shockwave therapies, for orthopedic conditions, for pre-surgery. They take, but that's also in conjunction with traditional medicine
Right.
techniques. So I use the supplementation because there's evidence
Mhm.
that shows that when used concurrent with traditional medicine, there's a therapeutic benefit. Now, the standalone therapy, absolutely not. I can't condone functional medicine as a standalone therapy because it's almost like kind of practicing Christian scientism. Like you can sit there and go pray all you want, and God ain't going to take the cancer out of your gallbladder.
Right.
The gallbladder's inflamed and it's about ready to rupture. God ain't going to save you there.
Yeah.
It's the doctor with the scalpel blade or the appendix, or, you've got a 30 centimeter, retroperitoneal tumor that's pressing on your kidney. All the praying in the world and supplements in the world are not going to reduce that. That's why we have chemotherapy. That's why we have surgical excision. That's why you do PET scanning. It's why we do, we actually use science for once in a while to treat patients, believe it or not. Like there's actual
Well,
scientific, method.
right. And we're coming across one of the things that bothers me so much, so many things, is there's new science where there's vaccines for cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the one from a long time ago, the HPV, but new mRNA
Like
vaccine.
Gardasil
hmm
for teenage kids. Yeah.
Donna asks, what's the life expectancy in wealthy areas versus life expectancy in low income areas? There's a massive,
Oh, it's huge.
massive delta.
I think it's like 6.7 years or something like that. It's something, it's statistically significant.
Right. I mean, and
that goes with economics too. That goes with the income gap as well. Like with patients who are in poorer socioeconomic areas get less care. It's just the reality of healthcare economics. But
yeah.
I get into these discussions with my colleagues over social determinants of health,
Mhm.
and part of me doesn't believe in them. Part of me does.
Well, there's always outliers in every
There's always
direction.
right. There's always an outlier, and like one of the things that I always try to be is real. Like even when I'm talking about the medical stuff, and there's really stuff that I honestly have no knowledge base on, but I try to learn so I can at least kind of on a periphery discuss it generally.
Mhm.
Social determinants of health don't change the disease. A patient who's diabetic, for example, who has an elevated A1C, it doesn't matter whether you live in Brookline, Massachusetts, or you live in the poorest part of Western Massachusetts. Okay? Diabetes is diabetes.
Right.
The
But
disease doesn't change based on your income level or your socioeconomic
disease
status.
doesn't change, but
The
whether
disease, and this is the argument against social determinants of health, is that the disease doesn't change because you have the disease. The disease changes because you have the ability to treat it properly. But the disease itself is not determinate based on health.
well, I mean, it's a whole. I think there in wealthier areas, there's more access to both healthy food and care for people to I'm talking type 2 diabetes, for people to perhaps be able to avoid it. There's care, there's medicine, there's food, there's GLP-1, there's
listen, there's a definite relationship between, level of socioeconomic status and healthy. Okay. It's the difference between in like inner city Detroit, inner city Boston, inner city Charlotte, Jackson, Mississippi, where instead of, a true food on the corner, it's a liquor store.
Right. It's not, it's the food deserts. It's also in the rural areas. There's
and rural areas too, in Western Iowa and
in Indiana, where I was doing some work, right after the abortion ban, there was, I think, there were all of the OBGYNs were leaving, and training OBGYNs couldn't happen in state. And so lots and lots of people in rural areas had no access to OBGYNs, either with pregnancy or pregnancy loss or anything that goes with, the female reproductive system. And because I don't know how I get to abortion, because abortion is healthcare, and if you can't do it, then you can't train on it.
I think you just selected it.
I did select it, but the point is, these healthcare deserts in rural areas are getting worse when they cut the Medicaid. And I live in Boston. There are like 6 Harvard associated hospitals, if I'm doing my counting right. There's at least one affiliated with Boston University. There's one affiliated with Boston, with the Brigham. There are like 8 teaching hospitals,
right,
where they do the
Boston's. Mass General. It's you're in one of the epicenters of medical research. One, and you have MIT, which then pushes all that technology to the med schools.
Right.
And the teaching hospital. So you're in a very unique area. It's like no different than being in Minneapolis. Right. Minneapolis, because of Mayo, there's a lot of the healthcare tech is around Minneapolis. Most people don't know this, that a lot of the healthcare technology companies are based in Minneapolis because of Mayo.
Right. And here too.
Because Mayo, Boston, believe it or not so much New York because of but so like you're talking like, in Houston. Okay. The really large, really profitable foundation medical centers and university-based health centers have a lot of research-based technology companies for care. So
right. And then there's clinical trials that you have access to.
Right. So even low socioeconomic environmental people who live in the greater Boston 200-mile radius have access to those teaching hospitals. But somebody who lives in Western Texas, for example, or lives in Four Corners, US, right? The closest city is Santa Fe. Does not have access to that. No. University of New Mexico, Santa Fe does not have the same resources that UC Santa Barbara has, or UCSF.
My dad's getting his dementia treatment through UC Davis, which is doing a huge study on he's in clinical trials and whatever, because he lives in the Bay Area and has access to I'm
in Southeast Florida, so I have the University of Miami Health System, but we also, believe it or not, I've got Mayo down here. Mayo's opened up satellite clinics.
Really?
University of Florida. HHS has a hospital down here, and Cleveland Clinic.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, so that's more than I would have thought.
Yeah. So, I have the University of Miami system. I've got Cleveland Clinic. I've got HHS, University of Florida. So, like, for most people, they have to drive 30 plus miles, which at that, when you have to drive 30 miles, that's considered rural healthcare.
Yeah, but a lot of places there isn't.
And what Maha is trying to explain, they're saying, "Oh, this is the greatest thing in healthcare since we created healthcare." And it really isn't. It's actually the most dangerous thing that they've created because it creates gaps. It creates health disparity gaps in the population. Because I mean, we've had this on. You've seen me put this on different conversations with different people, and because they want us dead, broken, stupid, and sick.
Yeah. Dead, broke, stupid, sick.
They want it, yeah,
whichever order.
It doesn't matter what the order. They don't care what order it is, as long as they get what they want. Is that they really want us uneducated, poor, and sick, because those three factors means we're controllable.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can control a population, then you've got the ability to manage the messaging, because then people become desperate.
Right. I mean, if we're going to go that far, it's not just, poor, stupid, and hungry. It's, it's like, that's when you can get people to, when they're very desperate, they will inform on their neighbors. They will.
You're seeing it now. You're seeing what's happening even with like Melissa in South Carolina. She literally is, she just announced that she's temporarily leaving Blue Ant Media.
Yeah.
Because her entire her area is being overrun by ICE.
Right. She's in Norfolk, Virginia.
She's in Norfolk. And, which makes no sense because it's a military town. I mean, Norfolk, Virginia, it's naval base.
Right.
So you've got ICE running around a freaking naval base.
Well, most of it doesn't make sense. It's there to instill fear. I mean, down the street from where I am, there's an ICE facility that is in an office park right next to the mall that everyone goes to. And, it hasn't become huge here because they've been busy in Minneapolis and Maine. But quietly they are expanding and they're everywhere. And as Melissa said, it's not big and it's silent in her area. People, they're just kind of creeping in and taking people. And I don't know whether that's a function of the community not being out there in the streets like Minneapolis, or because it's a more rural area. But
probably both.
They want to take people so that they can fill up private prisons and
concentration camps.
Camps.
Let's call them what they are.
Yes, concentration camps, gulags, so that they can traffic young women and or make breeding factories.
Yep.
And kill off the rest.
Sound familiar? Sound familiar in history?
Yeah. And once they get through, taking anyone who looks remotely brown, they're just going to move on because they'll never be satisfied.
And they will eventually come for, once they've taken everybody else, then they'll go after the ones that support them.
Right.
Well, they'll eventually get to their MAGA loyalists. They'll get them. But here's really the worst part about everything is I think Jill just put a question there. Do you think most Americans are realizing this, the challenge of reaching the brainwashed MAGA Maha loyalists?
Yeah, I think that's probably.
So here's where it comes down to, Jill. MAGA/Maha will make excuses for their loyalty to Trump and the rest of the party elites because it avoids having to deal with their own inadequacy of their decision-making process. Oh, well, he's going after the migrants. He's going after the illegals. Well, no, he isn't. He's actually going after American citizens, and he just killed, he killed two white Americans in the street, killed What was his name? Parker?
I don't remember, but there's untold
Plus
numbers
the
of
32 that died in custody that were, Hispanic immigrants, whatever. And they'll keep
and
making excuses. Well, I like his policies though. His policies are, the stock market's doing really well for my family.
yeah,
You know what?
They don't
Like,
have any money in the stock.
most people don't, right?
That's my point.
Yeah, and gas prices is never an indication of the economy either, because that's a commodity. It's like pork bellies, right? So
what is a pork belly?
Pork belly is the fatty part of the bacon. Like, it's the under part of the pig where you can.
Yeah, this is someone who didn't grow up with pork products. So
well, I better living with bacon. Bacon always makes makes stuff taste better. That's that organic meat that we're not. It's the other white. It's the other white meat.
Yes.
So no, but like we're in everybody's like, oh, we're in a political, it's a political nightmare. No, it's not really. We're in a human rights
catastrophe.
First Amendment catastrophe.
We absolutely are.
And we're not but let me get to my point, is that MAGA will continue to make excuses for MAGA. These people are so far gone that unless a nuclear bomb went off in their backyard and it was labeled Trump says hi, they could care less. They're like, it doesn't affect me. This is not my issue. I like what he does. I was just in the barbershop this morning, and one of the nice and tight, like my fade. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, so like my barber, who's one of the owners, doesn't follow politics at all. One of the barbers is ex-military, and he's very vocal in the barbershop, and they've talked to him about it because he's pure MAGA. Mm-hmm. And his takeaway from last night was that Trump's statistics were off. That was his takeaway was, oh, well, some of his numbers were fabricated.
Well, that's better than it's been, but it doesn't actually.
One of the other clients that was sitting in the other owner's chair, okay, was pissed that when he showed the girl that got stabbed on the bus, and he went through the story, and it was really vulgar what he was doing, because he went through the whole story about how she was sliced open and the blood was pouring out. Like, he was kind of like glorifying the trauma. Mm-hmm. For some sick, sadistic reason, he's explaining this on national television. That's a whole nother level of psychological analysis that I really can't get into. But he was pissed because the Democrats didn't stand. Now, I was pissed because the first thing that they should have done was got up and walked out when he started lying about everything. They should have just gotten up and walked out. Just make the statement. Don't give him the satisfaction of you sitting there and not standing for anything or applauding for anything. Just get up and leave. Like, that would have been a better statement. Or just put pictures of all the Epstein survivors in your seats and then get up and leave.
I completely agree.
Like, I mean, that would have made a statement. Tell me what you're for. Okay.
Always.
Right.
Tell me what you're for. Yeah.
And Jeffries is just sitting there like this. The whole time, Jeffries is like this.
Right. Because it was interesting. I watched Adam Kinzinger for 5 minutes before the State of the Union. He said, when you're sitting in there, wait, but listen, has nothing to do with ideology. He's like, you're sitting there and all you can think about, it's hot and they have these lights and you can't go to the bathroom if you need to. And all you can think about is, am I supposed to stand? Am I supposed to clap? If I don't clap, will the leadership, like, it was all just like his internal monologue being in the room. Like, I'm not going to get into whether, Adam Kinzinger, what his story is, but the fact that probably is the inner monologue of most of the people in there. It is like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, they should have walked out, or Al Green always comes up with something,
or not go, or if you just don't want to be there, sit in the back. Like, I felt bad for the Supreme Court justices as much as I don't really like Kavanaugh. And I could really not give a shit about Roberts or what's her face.
Eileen Cannon. No, that was
No,
Speak
no,
the
no,
Tongue.
no, no. Don't ever mention her in Supreme Court in the same sentence with me again. That's like a big no.
What's her name?
Amy Coney Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett.
You know, I mean, he literally blasted them. He stood there 10 feet away from them and just was like, "That was a bad decision." I'm sure, crazy grandpa scolding the kids. It was, you know. But don't even get me started with Aileen Cannon because she's just a complete. There's got to be a way. Literally, if I literally had a choice in the matter, I would figure out a way to get her off the bench.
She doesn't belong there.
I would just basically be like, "You're done." I would order the Chief Justice for the Southern District of Florida, be like, "Listen, you need to suspend her and put her through judicial review because she doesn't know the law. It's obvious she doesn't know. You know."
Well, and she's compromised, and Gillis Cannon is compromised. Kavanaugh and Thomas and Roberts.
They're all compromised.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Sotomayor and Kagan and what's her name? God, you make me do this. The newest justice.
Make you do this? It's the first time we're doing this. I make you do this? Really?
Yes, it's all your fault. Oh, shit, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry.
What, to whom?
The newest justice.
Amy Coney Barrett.
No.
Oh no, Ketanji Jackson.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I mean, it got we got migraines, menopause. It's just not a good combination for names.
So everybody, the next time you want to see Stephanie on Freedom Over Fascism, there's usually going to be a yellow caution tape before you enter the chat room and before the Substack starts. It says, "Please enter at your own recognizance."
She might get names wrong. She may completely lose her train of thought in the middle of a sentence. Somebody commented on one of my, and this isn't you guys. I know this isn't you guys. I hope it's not you guys. Commented on one of my videos. It was really interesting, but if you could just finish your thought and not take so long in asking your questions. And I was
Listen, I don't think people in the chat truly understand how difficult it is to host a show. I public speak for a living. I'm constantly doing podium presentations. I'm always traveling and doing stuff for medical conferences. I have one next week in Tampa. I've got one the following week in Boston. I'm used to speaking in front of people, and I don't have a problem telling people what I think. And I've done enough Zooms that no, this is a facade, really. I just, and I literally, don't cower in front of people. I want to be challenged. I want to have robust debate. I want to have the ability to fight back verbally. Plus, not to prove not to prove that my point is right, but because I am right.
Eric Love, right or wrong, never in doubt.
that would be the wrong manosphere right there. No, but to basically make the point so that at least you have an understanding of where I'm coming from, whether or not you don't agree with, whether you disagree with me or agree with me, you have the right to under Article 1, First Amendment right, but the point of having these conversations is not for you and me. We do this for you. We do this we do these live Substacks, everybody, because we find each other intriguing and we want to engage. But it's also really to help engage all of you in the chat.
And all of the people that you engage with in the
and all the people that you engage with. If we can give you one or two talking points that you take back to your friends and family that you're like, wow, that was mind blowing. Wow, then we've done our job, as Substackers. But that just sounds dirty, doesn't it? I'm a Substacker.
I've been doing the podcast before. I mean, I was on Substack for a long time, but that was just because I had free email. Seriously, I didn't start lives until this fall. But I try to talk to people who have a perspective that not a lot of people have. I mean, there's so much going on in the news. And yes, I'm going to talk to Ellie next Wednesday.
Woo! Love
Woo!
Ellie. Love
Ellie's the
Ellie.
best. Ellie's the best. I know she's phenomenal.
For
But
those of you that are not subscribed to Stephanie, do it now before you forget. Just
thank you.
and smash the hearts, please.
Smash the hearts.
Smash the heart.
Yeah. So my point is, I try to get people that can help us understand where we are, what we're doing, how we can fight back, what we ought to be saying. And it's for the people in the chat, and it's for the people who, there's a whole lot more who download and listen to the podcast on
Yes.
Apple Podcasts than are in the chat with us right now. And I think that there's lots of people who are doing the breaking news, and some of them are doing a great job, some of them are doing a shit job. But that doesn't need to be me. And there are lots of people doing, you and Nick, who came in, I don't know whether he's still here, doing the intelligent masculinity,
Walter and Evan.
And Walter and Evan, and the new manosphere. It is incredibly important.
Yes.
And sort of pushing the bounds of what these Substacks are, and creating a community. I feel like it's amorphous.
Hey, Nick. Hey, buddy.
Nick. This community is something that, is one of the most special. I came here because I had free email, and I'm staying here because of the community. Because
I didn't think I was going to. Okay, so when I first heard of Substack, it was more like, what is this Substack? I'm hearing a lot about this. Let me jump on real quick. And as I can hear Stephanie thundering on her keyboard right now in the middle of my thought process. So when I first joined Substack, it was more, and we didn't really do the intro. So I let me go back, and now that we're 35 minutes into this, I'll do the intro now. So I'm Dr. Eric Lulov. I am the Chief Executive and Medical Officer of the West Boca Center for Wound Healing. I'm a board-certified foot and ankle podiatrist surgeon based in Southeast Florida. And I do a lot of public health policy, and I'm one of the national experts in wound healing and wound management. I've routinely been at HHS, sitting in policy and coverage policy meetings for the last 15 years. And I just got back from one a couple weeks ago, and basically kind of threw word salad at John Brooks, who's the deputy administrator for CMS. And I've sat in the room with these guys from the last basically 3 administrations. And I can actually tell everybody just right off the bat that these are the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. These are literally the dumbest people running our healthcare administration right now.
Anyway, dumb,
that was my intro.
Stupid and poor.
Yeah, that was my intro. Hey, was that good?
Yeah, it was great. That was absolutely great.
But getting back to what you were saying, it's just so where I got on Substack was, and really what really blew up with me was I started going on Gen X, and that's I think when you and I first kind of met, and I started, and I just happened to make a donation to Feeding America, and then Lawrence and Dana kind of called me out. So then my first Substack show was with them, and I started kind of hopping on all the shows and just being in chat between patients and just hopping on here and there. Sometimes I'm for the whole show, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's I got to step out because I have patients or whatever. And then what happened at the end of last year was that I had been speaking with Evan Fields for a long time. Like Evan and I were friends on Substack for really a few months, probably since October. And then Evan kind of told me he was starting to go through his divorce. And then he did a live one day and was just circling the drain. He was just.
I actually saw that, and I was, I wrote to Nick, and,
Yeah. And I said the same thing. Like I immediately messaged Nick. I'm like, we got to get Evan on a live. Like we need to get him to air this out. And that's how intelligent masculinity kind of got born. It was really like basically Nick, me and Walter getting Evan to kind of get it all out with guy buddies. right? Where he could be in a safe space to do it.
And that
And then
I watched that, and that was the most incredible Substack session that I have ever seen, because you all three of you were there for him, but you were guiding him in a way that he could process his situation
in a
more
healthy way.
honestly,
Yeah.
in a healthy way.
And then what Nick has been able to do with what we kind of, and then we kind of started doing, we kind of decided we're going to do this show like twice a month, which is called the Diogenes Club.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to start going weekly beginning next week. So we're going to be doing it weekly at Thursdays at 12:30. But Nick has been doing this whole series with other men that are in Substack. He's done Marlon Weems. He just did Will Fullwood yesterday. He's done Frederick Poag. He's done Shane Urak. There's just Walter Ryan. And Nick's got a show with Walter on Tuesdays for Notes of the Week and stuff like that. But what Nick has been able to draft and write, and Nick is very gifted at this. Like, I really envy his
Nick
writing.
is gifted at everything. Nick.
If you need your garbage disposal done, call Nick Pero.
And you want a symphony written at the same time.
But if you also need a ghostwriter, call Nick Pero at 802. And if you have any Star Trek questions, call Nick Pero. But anyway, but that's really kind of really where this is all kind of gone. And you're welcome, Nick. We love you too, buddy. But where we're all going with this is this community has created this environment where I had no idea who Stephanie Wilson was 2 months ago. No clue.
Or should you have?
No, should I have, right? Why would I? Live in South Florida, you live in Boston. Why would I have any, right? Or the same thing with Nick, same thing with Joe Walsh, or Zev, Dean,
mm-hmm.
Ellie. Ellie is just, everybody knows Ellie now. She's like a household name.
She is, and I just saw an article that she wrote, like her first article, and I got her on here, and then she just she is one of the most
she's special,
talented, special. If you don't know Ellie Leonard, she's combing through the Epstein files and finding. So she's finding a lot of the information and putting it together in a way that makes sense. Zev Shalev is doing the same, but with the financial side of it.
Right. I don't want to discount all of the people that are also helping Ellie. There is a group of women from A. Lauren and her whole group of friends. Like, they have a whole signal chat of, I think, like 15 women who I think you should actually talk to as well, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's this group of like 15 women that are ripping through these files that are forwarding all this information to Ellie that she's been able to kind of compile. So it's amazing the community that has kind of grown from the Epstein file release, and how women are coming together to get this information out, to get it to Ellie, to get it to Kate Justice, so that Zev and Dean and
Lev, who was
in
the chat for a while.
Right. And it's just crazy. It's just what I think, honestly, the greatest thing that happened to the American people, or at least for the community here, was the corporatization of the media. Getting to the point where these fucking asshole billionaires, Larry Ellison, buying up CNN and buying up CBS and all this other shit, and forcing everybody into this media. Jim Acosta leaving, Tara Palmieri leaving, Cliff Schechter and David Schuster leaving NBC and coming and forming Blue Ant Media here, and Ellie leaving the New York Times, and just, and
Katie Fang,
Katie Fang leave, Joy Reid, right? And everybody coming here, and all of a sudden, like, this explosion of like independent media,
mm-hmm. Which
I've never seen in my lifetime. When I grew up, it was the Detroit News, the Detroit Free Press. It was Walter Cronkite and the other guys that were on the other networks that nobody knew about because everybody watched Walter Cronkite. And then all of a sudden, like internet, then it was like CNN was the first full-time news station. You know, we're not going to talk about that other 3-letter word station that, you know,
It's entertainment.
Right.
For others.
Like, seriously, like, I think, like, in this, by the way, everybody, this was not where Stephanie and I had originally discussed this entire podcast to go today. This is like,
I knew it would
that's
go
what,
where
that's
it
what
wanted
makes
to
this
go.
so, but this is what makes this stuff so organic. Like, we're not scripted. We're not a TV show.
Mm-mm. And, you know, I have thoughts about some of those bigger creators. And being a smaller creator,
Mhm.
I don't make any money at this, which makes it easier to get burnt out because there's no return. And so I might take a couple weeks off, but
Which is okay. It's okay to
yeah,
unplug.
Yeah,
you have to. Sorry, I need my chemicals.
Okay, your chemicals. I drink. I stick ice water and I stick a tea bag in it, and you get instant iced tea, and it's much better than straight water.
Listen, it's only the middle of the day, but I can go to the harder stuff if we need to. I mean, if I really want to, I mean, I can go hard here.
Whoa.
I mean, this isn't like network TV. I'm allowed to drink alcohol, you know, but I'm not going to open this. It's warm, but it's, I have a patient of mine who's from Germany. So he brings me all these different beers and, you know, so October is always my favorite time of the year because he always winds up, he goes to Germany in September and then he always goes to Oktoberfest and he brings me back. You know, I have some really, really wonderful patients and I've got some other patients that I really just would throw off a cliff.
I mean, that's people. That's people. No, we're not scripted. I do want to say that this whole independent media, one of the first people to do it was Tara McGowan with Courier Media, talking to her on Tuesday, guys. And now she's got her own podcast. And the more we can make it work with independent voices, especially the ones who are doing amazing research or bringing voices in that you don't normally hear, or just bringing different perspectives. For instance, I kind of wouldn't mind doing a woman, a middle-aged woman who's still a parent of a you know, sandwich generation kind of podcast, just to bring people together who are like, you know, we were older parents, so in our 50s, still have kids in school, have parents that are deteriorating, in the middle of menopause. I think that's not your wheelhouse. I'm looking at people in the chat and just saying that that's a thing. Like, that's my version in my head of the manosphere stuff, because people don't talk about that either. Oh, it's getting late, so the sun's in my eyes. Sorry.
Well, listen, and there's a whole sphere of mature womanhood that gets ignored. You know, the focus has always been on the younger TikTokers and the younger women. I mean, you go on Instagram and TikTok and it's all younger kids. You don't really ever see the mature 50-year-old.
Well, actually, you do. It depends on your algorithm.
That's true. And since I barely ever go on those anyway, I don't really see much anyway. So most of my stuff that pops up is either pickleball related or something else. So that's pretty much my algorithm on like Instagram is more pickleball. Yeah, it's more.
Mine is heated rivalry
and hockey stuff, right? Like, but like I know I wanted to come on here and really talk about, you know, what happened this morning in the hearing. You know, for those of you that have gotten on late, the original impetus was to talk about Casey Means, who is the Surgeon General nominee by the administration. She had her public hearing today with the Senate Help Committee, chaired by Senator Cassidy, who was the one that backed off his idea of not voting in RFK and then wound up voting for him. So it was pretty much a shit show this morning. She's adept at not answering and answering at the same time.
Oh my God, she was phenomenal at
Yeah.
not answering anything.
So her background was basically just to kind of reiterate, she basically went to medical school at Stanford, never finished her residency as an ENT, which is an otolaryngologist, ENT, ear, nose, throat physician. Never finished her residency, never practiced, like never. Her license is inactive. She is a disaster, like of like the nth scale. She became an Instagram influencer on functional medicine products, which is like supplementals and holistics and snake oil shit and elixirs, and got some seed money of like $20 million from, I can't remember the guy that seeded her first company, but wound up going into business with like her brother-in-law.
Was it Andreessen?
Andreessa, yeah. Mark Andreessen. Yeah. He gave her like 20 million to start the company, and then she wound up like kind of like forcing patients into these blood glucose control meters that they didn't need, and wound up like with the False Claims Act, and like it was just all kinds of like federal fraud issues. And then she was not disclosing all of her relationships online, which was a violation of the FTC.
Right.
But like it was just, there's a lot of like big red flags with her, other than the fact that she's a maha moron and won't, like she literally had put out on X that, you know, any parent giving their child infant newborn hepatitis B vaccine should be, you know, criminally prosecuted.
I did not know that.
Now, just for those of you that are not medically aware, hepatitis B is one of the most infectious disease viruses that we have. And as infants, they have no natural immunity to hepatitis B. It can be transferred through the placenta, it can be transferred through food, can be transferred in the air, can be transferred. I mean, infants are very susceptible to hepatitis B. And Hep B vaccinations and the recommendation from the ACIP, you know, the ACIP from the CDC was to give newborn babies hepatitis B vaccines.
Like on the first or second day.
Like,
I mean,
day one, right? As soon as they're born, they get stuck. Like within like 10 minutes after their APGAR, they get stuck. It's like really like the first vaccine they get. And, you know, they're saying, nope, don't give babies the hepatitis B vaccine.
Right. Again,
I mean, this is like, these anti-vax fuckers that are all over the ACIP that RFK has appointed. There's only one person left on there that actually is for vaccines because he wrote the book on it. But the other 7 people are just disaster is not even the word for it. Like, right. Whatever is worse than like catastrophic disaster, if you could think of a synonym for it, and I'm more than happy to have people in the chat if you could come up with something, because I don't have a term for it. If you were to put catastrophic disaster in the same sentence and then come up with something worse, and Donald Trump doesn't count, you can't use that one. But
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'm going to go to prison. They're going to pull this podcast and send me to prison.
Well, hopefully that not this one. But I just want to. I'm glad that we had, and I think we need to wrap up.
Really 2 o'clock already. Holy shit!
I know it went fast.
How goes like this, everybody? I swear to God.
It went fast. I'm sorry we were all over the place, but I'm not sorry. Sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
And let me know in the chat or if on a DM whether you would be interested if I went off on a non-political podcast for Sandwich Generation Women. And I'm going to let Eric tell you when he is
Selfless promotion time.
It is shameless promotion time right
shameless
now.
Promotion time. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, all 117 of you. Stephanie and I really appreciate it. We're gonna have to do this again and have a better script. We were all over the place.
Yeah.
This was like drunk grandpa driving the car today. Oh my God. Anyway, so you can reach me on Substack at Dr. Lulove, DrLullove. I don't have a fancy QR code like Nick does when he puts it up there for everybody.
I don't have Q. I'm not fancy.
I do not have a paywall. Everything for me is free. I do not make money on you people. It is not my job to take your money. If you want, support my colleague over here because she's the rock star superstar. So support Stephanie Wilson, support other Substackers who are really dependent on your help and your support to get their message out. I do not need your support financially. I'm doing just fine. So I'm good. But support me just by following and subscribing so that you can pay attention to what I do. My focus is more on healthcare policy and the intersection between healthcare policy and politics. I do stray into cooking every once in a while. I have to put up my bread recipe of the week. I put the bread up yesterday. I did not on Monday. I did not actually put the recipe up. I have to do that today, which I'll be doing right after this. So the bread of the week was my homemade whole wheat skillet pita bread.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is that an Instagram favorite?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. I might need to get that.
No, this is my recipe. It goes with my hummus recipe.
Okay. I might need to get that from you.
My better than store-bought hummus.
Well, everything's better than store-bought.
So that's how you can get it. That's how you can find me, everybody.
Thank you so much, Eric. And you all know you can find me at freedomoverfascism.us. If you have the means, I could really use the paid subscription or buy me a coffee. And I am planning on continuing to have interesting people that have a point of view and expertise.
I'm not that interesting.
I mean, our conversation may have been interesting if people like meandering, blah, blah, but
we schedule something that's a little bit more structured. But if everybody gives Stephanie some feedback, if you like the unstructured talk versus something that's like, we're going to go through section 1, ABC, section 2, ABC.
Well, I don't usually do that anyway, because with experts, I just follow where they lead. And some people really like that and some people don't. But I try to just go as deep as I can with them on their expertise. Monica, I'm not sure that you missed that much, but
how much you missed, Monica? I'm just saying.
I think that we missed you more than you may have missed us. But anyway, I loved having you on, Eric. I love our community. I feel like I'm just kind of at the fringes of it. And
no, you're knee deep in it with me.
No, okay.
We're going to the deep end.
All right, excellent. Well, and I do chronic illness with Nick, chronically illing out with Nick Pero and Soso and Beth Cruz on Mondays at 11 Eastern, and Freedom Over Fascism Tuesday and Wednesday, although I might take a break soon. And in a bit, when I'm done teaching a class on empathy-based leadership, I will come back to the Anti-Fascist Book Club on Friday.
And you can reach me at the Diogenes Club at 12:30 p.m. on Thursdays with Nick, Walter, and Evan Fields. And that's my only scheduled show I do during the week. A lot of the things I do are just kind of unscheduled. So sometimes you might catch me on a surprise live, which is how I like to do things. So clearly.
So anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Fight the